Secretary-General, welcome to the State Department. It's a pleasure to have you.
It's considered an honor in Washington to meet with the Secretary of State. But if you want to talk money, you have to go to Capitol Hill. That's what the UN Secretary-General António Guterres did on Tuesday and Wednesday. He met with members of Congress who will decide whether to approve the Trump administration's proposed budget for next year. That budget, if passed unchanged, would cut the U.S. contribution to basic UN operations by $440 million. And it would cut the budget for peacekeeping missions by 90%. Guterres has already struggled to get countries to give extra money to combat famine in Yemen, Somalia, Nigeria, and South Sudan. So a sizable cut in U.S. contributions would make his job harder. Thus, the meetings with both Democrats and Republicans.
We live in a democracy, and democratic bodies decide and vote. So we are not talking about assurances, we are talking about a constructive dialogue.
Coincidentally, the U.S. ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, was testifying before congressional committees about the UN and the changes she has been trying to make there. Much has been made of the ties Guterres and Haley have forged since they both arrived in New York earlier this year. But analysts point out Guterres also needs strong ties with the people who decide how much money the U.S. spends every year.
The Congress, of course, is in a position to constrain the funding and the activities of the executive. And to that extent, of course, the position of the Congress therefore becomes of significant advantage or disadvantage to the relationship between the U.S. and the United Nations.
Given that it takes Congress months to pass a budget, it'll be a while before António Guterres knows whether his lobbying paid off. What he did find, though, this week were legislators from both parties willing to meet with him about his plans for UN reform, conflict prevention, and human rights. Rosiland, Al Jazeera on Capitol Hill.